book of 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 3. But when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with a child, and they shall not escape. 2 Ezra chapter 16, verse 37. Behold, the plagues are nigh and are not slack, as when a woman with a child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son, with 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb. Which pains, when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment. Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth. The world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. 2 Ezra chapter 15 and verse 49. I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence, to waste thy houses with destruction and death. And the glory of thy power shall be dried up as a flower. The heat shall arise that is sent over thee. Thou shalt be weakened as a poor woman with stripes, and as one with wounds, so that the mighty and loving shall not be able to receive thee. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem HaShai, Bahar HaKadosh. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the seeking to be the elect of the nation of Israel. They're scattered abroad amongst the heathen, some of them like the heathen. Beginning of the 144,000. Preacher, teacher, prophet, Shalom. And you know, Trump and Iran came to a 2-week ceasefire. We reported on that last night. And you know, and Yahweh Shema had me report, you know, the end of that video, 1 Thessalonians 5 and 3, that peace and safety. So while people are saying, yes, it's going to be cool for the next 2 weeks, maybe it could go extend further and they could stop fighting all together. No. A 2-week freeze, hey, that's if Israel and the United States decide not to attack before the 2 weeks is over with. But regardless of that, everything, all the buildings, the infrastructure, the things that were destroyed, they said it'll take them up to 3 to 5 years to rebuild it. The damage is done. Hey, the economic, the global impact, the economic crisis, the global economic crisis, it already hit. So the damage is done. There's no bouncing back, okay, after 2 weeks. I mean, within 2 weeks, people making up for the losses. There's no lowering the inflation, and none of that. No, everything is done, from the housing market, agriculture, banks. It's done, right? Workers out of work. It's done. So when people hear this 2-week ceasefire, the first thing they're saying, okay, they're coming with a resolution. We're gonna be good. No, that's why it's important to stay in tune to prophecy, man. All right? Because this short-term deal, or even, hey, it's not gonna aid anything. All right? They're about to collapse this thing, man. All right? They in place to do what they're gonna do. And that's to bring more pain upon the people. Don't forget, short-term pain, long-term gain is what they call it. But hey, it's long-term pain and no gain. But their definition of gain is the mark of the beast. See, they're about to switch over this whole system into a digital system, and they're about to bring forth this mark of the beast. All right? It says global depression warning. World Bank and the International Monetary Fund forecast Iran war to trigger 1970 style crisis. Now I'm gonna let my girl Lena Petrov speak, and that's gonna be it, man. Cause she gonna she gonna sum it all up. All right. Hey, but real quick, hey, that's why Yahweh Shai said, watch as well as pray, so we won't get caught lacking, man. Hey, we always get this. But see, when people hear this type of news, they think, okay, we good now, we're going to be all right. Oh, okay. If you say so. Luke 21 and 32, Yahweh speaking. Verily I say unto you, this generation, this time, shall not pass away till all be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, meaning Esau's rulership shall, but my word shall not pass away, meaning every single word of this prophecy is going to come to pass. All right? Remember, hey, the time of breaking down, man. Okay? They want more and more stress upon the people. Okay? They want more and more stress upon the people. Okay? That's what we read. 2 16. 1 Thessalonians 5 and 3. This is what they're about to do. Excuse me, or doing it. But they're going to move faster. So expect everything to be more and more difficult. Hey, we reported last night that 18-wheeler was carrying, 8,000 gallons of gas, just erupted in flames. All right? Down there in Texas. Hey, the Panama Canal bridges of America, that erupted up in flames. You see? So, hey, all that's going to the supply chain. All right? You got more food processing plants closing down, people on strike. Okay? Linemen on strike. It says, heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away. It says, and take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with self-eating and drunkenness and the cares of this life, and so that day come upon you unawares, right? So how about Shema Shai is telling us to stay focused, man. Stay in the spirit. Know and understand prophecy. Right? Again, these people heard this little 2-week ceasefire and they think they're good. Why? Because they worried about the world, man. And if you're in this truth and you caught off guard or you down in the spirit because of this little 2-week ceasefire, hey, step your faith up, man. All right? Step your faith up. Because, hey, it's always sifting season, man. All right? Hey, remember, Yahweh Shema Shai is always sifting out those are the circumcisions that he don't want, who are actually the 2/3. All right? Amos chapter 9 and 8. Behold, the eyes of the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai, are upon the sinful kingdom. Now, that was once talking about Israel. Hell, still talking about Israel, because 2/3 is wicked. But now it's talking about Esau, his empire. It says, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, saving that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, said the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai. So the Lord said, I'm not going to take out all Israel. I'm just going to take out the 2/3. All right? And you have 2/3 that's of the circumcision. Why? Because they're not sincere. All right? For, lo, I will command and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations, like as corn is sifted in the sieve, yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth. Right? So how about Shema Shai is going to keep that good grain to himself. In other words, 2/3 are going to get sifted out. All right? And be destroyed. And be caught up in the ways and the affairs of this world. And be judged. All the sinners of my people shall die by the sword, which say that evil shall not overtake nor prevent us. You see? You set on your leaves. You can place it in America. All right? So you see, it's always sifting season, man. All right? Now let's go back to that Luke. We'll close out with that Luke. Then we'll just let her talk, man. Let my girl Lena talk. Lena Petrova. Luke 21. And 34, Yahweh Shai speaking again. And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts, meaning your minds, be overcharged with satiety and drunkenness and the cares of this life, and so that day come upon you unawares. For as a snare shall it come upon all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. Watch ye therefore, and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass and to stand before the Son of Man. So as we brought out the other night in the scripture by way of the Holy Spirit, more is to come. Okay, going what? Into that second address, 16, 37 to 39, and 1 Thessalonians 5 and 3. All right? Hey, it's only going to get worse from here, man. All right? Now let's play the video. I'm not going to interject. Hey, we done said everything. She gonna speak, and that's it. It's like 8 minutes. Let's play the next.
We are on the verge of a 1970s-style global stagflation, warned the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. In this new environment, the economic and geopolitical dimensions of conflicts are deeply interconnected, and the consequences are increasingly unpredictable. The global economy is now entering a period of heightened uncertainty as the war in the Middle East begins to ripple far beyond the region. According to the IMF, the war is expected to slow global growth and push inflation higher, regardless of how quickly it ends. Even in the most optimistic scenario, the economic impact is unavoidable. This week, the IMF Managing Director, Kristalina Georgieva, indicated that even in the event of a swift resolution which appears to be clearly out of reach, the global lender, the IMF that is likely to downgrade its growth projections globally while raising its inflation outlook. What was once projected as a relatively stable global growth rate of about 2.8% now appears to be too optimistic, with new estimates suggesting a reduction of anywhere between 0.3% in a baseline scenario and potentially more than 1% if the war continues. So what does that really mean? Well, this translates into a significant loss in global economic output, affecting countries across both developed and emerging markets. So yes, nobody will be spared. Now, on top of that, the impacts of the war in Iran could create a painful new reality for borrowers. For example, Kenneth Rogoff, a top economist and the former chief economist at the International Monetary Fund, said he believed interest rates were likely to remain painfully high in the aftermath of the Iran war. That's because higher oil prices are adding to a slew of inflationary pressures that already exist in the world economy. And so the impact on long-term interest rates is unlikely to be easily reversed. Here's what he said. He said, "I think the big thing is that interest rates are going to be higher." He pointed to long-dated treasury yields and mortgage rates in particular. "I think they're going to stay higher, and it is painful." And yes, it will be painful for many, many borrowers who are barely making ends meet as it is. A good indication of inflation expectations is the U.S. Treasury yield. Take a look here. The 10-year U.S. Treasury yield, the most salient reflection of borrowing costs in the economy, hovered around 4.3% on Tuesday, which is an increase of 37 basis points since late February. At the center of this disruption lies the energy market, of course. The supply shock has already reduced global oil availability by about 13%, and that is even without the possibility of the Bab el-Mandab Strait in the Red Sea being closed. The Middle East remains a critical hub for global oil and gas supplies, and any instability in the region quickly affects prices worldwide. Rising energy costs increase transportation and production expenses, as you know very well, which are then passed on to consumers in the form of higher prices. So it does actually trickle down all the way to consumers, and it is affecting every single person. The IMF warned that inflation could rise by as much as 0.9 percentage points due to these pressures. While this figure may appear modest to many people, its impact on the global economy is substantial, particularly for countries already struggling with high inflation and limited fiscal space. Now, the duration of the conflict will play a decisive role in determining the scale of the economic damage. A shorter-lived conflict, which appears to be unlikely at this point in time, could allow markets to stabilize within a few months, with supply chains recovering and energy prices easing. Now, that is the best case scenario. So a couple of months to several months recovery time is the best case scenario. A prolonged war could actually extend disruptions for 6 to 8 months or even longer. In turn, this would of course deepen economic strain and delay recovery. The longer the conflict continues, the more entrenched these effects become in global economy, and in turn they increase the risk of sustained inflation, weaker growth, and weaker economies worldwide, of course. Now, in response, the World Bank is already preparing to deploy significant financial support to affected countries. Most of them are emerging economies. Through its crisis response mechanisms, nations can actually access emergency funding to stabilize their economies. Around $30 billion could be disbursed within the next 2 to 3 months, with up to $70 billion available over a 6-month period. This approach mirrors the rapid financial support that was provided during the pandemic back in 2019. So this does demonstrate the institution's ability to act quite swiftly in times of global crisis. Now, beyond the immediate economic consequences, the war reflects a broader transformation in global geopolitics as well as economic realities. The global economy is becoming more and more fragmented. It has significantly deteriorated in the past 14 months, and as highlighted by RAND think tank, the world is now shifting toward an era of gray zone conflicts, complex indirect confrontations that fall short of traditional warfare. These conflicts often involve proxy actors, blurred lines of engagement, and evolving strategic interests. The traditional model of international cooperation that is based on shared values is now weakening. It is completely disrupted, and major powers are increasingly pursuing their interests, their main objectives through indirect means. And so that shift is driving changes in foreign policies of global leaders as they adapt to a more fragmented and unpredictable global landscape, with the United States now being effectively the main disruptor of the global security architecture. Modern warfare itself is evolving rapidly. According to Brian Jenkins of RAND, today's conflicts extend far beyond conventional military operations. They now incorporate cyber attacks, disinformation campaigns, espionage, and emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence. And so these elements create a form of hybrid warfare that is harder to detect, to attribute, and then to counter. And these forms of hybrid warfare often include economic warfare. As a result, conflicts are becoming more persistent and less defined, and in turn it works to increase their potential to disrupt global systems over longer periods of time. In this new environment, the economic and geopolitical dimensions of conflicts are deeply interconnected. Even if the current war in Iran ends quickly, which it won't based on what we're seeing today, its effects on growth, on inflation, and global stability will linger for a long time. The world is not only facing a temporary crisis, but also it is adapting to a new reality, one where economic shocks, geopolitical tensions, and technological warfare are increasingly intertwined. The global economy is being reshaped by war-driven geoeconomic fragmentation that is centered on energy, inflation, and strategic choke points. The combination of energy shocks, rising rates, and geopolitical conflict creates a high-probability stagflation environment with long-term consequences. Thank you so much for watching this quick video. Make sure that you give this a like if you enjoyed it, if you found it interesting, and follow me on additional platforms that I will link in the video description below. As always, I appreciate every single one of you who has become a paid subscriber on YouTube, Substack, and Patreon. Thank you. You make this content possible on a daily basis. Have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you here tomorrow. Take care.